Right now, finally, Zimbabwe gets over the line, probably much closer series, and everyone was wondering what do we need to do to get over the line in the Polish Sri Lanka, which is under 80s for Polish performance. And you yourself showing maturity in leading a very low running score, so that you could die of BP, but your comments on today's victory and wonderful and what it means for the team finally over the line.
Yeah, finally. Like you said, it's been a long time coming. I think February against Ireland was our last T20 win, so it's been almost 6 months. So to answer your question, it means a lot. But in saying that, I think the last three, obviously the three ODIs and the last T20 that we played against Sri Lanka, we've kind of gone down to the wire in all the previous 4 games. So it's not like we haven't we've put ourselves in bad positions, we've put ourselves in good positions, but we just haven't quite got over the line. But all credit must go to our bowlers and our fielders today to restrict a very good T20 team to a low target here at Sports Club. So yeah, it means a lot to us. And then obviously chasing down a low target like that's always tricky for batters. With class bowlers on the Sri Lankan side, Shamira, Shana, they were always going to put up a bit of a fight, but obviously not probably having enough runs on the board on their side. So yeah, it means a lot to us. Very, very happy.
Hi, Burl. You did touch on part of my question. So I wanted to mention that a very low score is kind of difficult. We've seen it times around and it's difficult to chase, but as a batsman, what was your mentality? How do you psych yourself up to chase that? And seeing that on the other side, wickets continuously falling. So how do you maintain a sound and a focused mind to get Zimbabwe over the line?
I think it's a good question, and I don't think it's a kind of one shoe fits all. So for me, the way I've got to approach it is different to how the openers are going to go about it. The openers, the coach is going to say to them, go out there and play how you're normally going to play a power play. So they've still got to go and be positive and hit the balls that are there to be hit. And then obviously when I'm coming in towards the top end middle phase there, I just need to make sure that Zimbabwe gets over the line. So when I come in, it's probably a situation where I don't really need to take risks and just do whatever I can to rotate strike, make sure not allowing them to hold too many dots. And then ultimately get over the line.
Well, do you feel like Zimbabwe is peaking at the right time, especially with the qualifier coming? And secondly, what are your thoughts on the finishing qualities that Tashin Kamsekio seems to be showing?
Yeah, I think it's obviously an important phase for Zimbabwe cricket at the moment, leading up to the qualifiers. So playing against good opposition like Sri Lanka, and we've obviously got a good series in Bulawayo against Namibia coming up. It is a really important time, and it means a lot to us that we are, playing some good cricket, and obviously managing to get the win today. It means a lot to us. But I think it's now 4 games leading up until the qualifiers. It's gonna, it means that we have to kind of keep going on that upwards trajectory. And then, yeah, Musa, he's played a couple of vital roles for us in the lower middle order there. There are a few games where he's come in and he hasn't really been able to do what his strength is. But there are times where he has been able to, and he showed us, the quality that he does have. And us players and coaches, I'm sure, are going to back him all the way.
You mentioned about when you came in, it's depends what the situation is like, not having to take too many risks.
Yeah.
And I think it's a question of us, a couple of batsmen so far across the India.
Yeah.
How much of the changes happened, I want to say, in the last couple of months? Because, for us looking here, we're kind of noticing, actually, our batsmen are more measured. It's not necessarily taking as much risk as, say 6 months ago. And I think it's led to a lot more consistent performance. So to you personally, what sort of changes have you seen?
It's a tricky one because, there's a very fine line between being measured and almost being a little bit negative as opposed to being positive and realizing that you do need to score runs, because ultimately it's T20 cricket. Teams are evolving. Guys are playing a lot more aggressively than they used to. So we've got a blueprint, and that's kind of something that we kind of measure to how we want to rate ourselves. And yeah, we try to do our best as possible to kind of go by that blueprint, and if we achieve that, we will then win more games than lose them. So yeah, hopefully we can just keep achieving that and ticking those boxes.
Right. So then maybe just to follow up now, series levels, to decide that tomorrow, what do you have to say to the fans? Maybe just to come out and just support the team in this.
Yeah, it's a Sunday. The series is on the line. Honestly, get out there, numbers, and back the boys. Yeah, there's some good cricket on our show, and hopefully we can pull off something special, give the fans something to be cheering about. And yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait. Yeah, it's been a while since I think we had a series win against Sri Lanka. So yeah, let's achieve that. Let's tick that box.
Ryan, just maybe talk about you've spoken about how you measure, that ranches tricky. Then there's always been the issue that you're like at the peak of your game and probably touted as one of the future captains, and the way that responsibility where you want these guys that are on their way out, and that responsibility of taking the game forward for Zimbabwe lies on people like you. And then how do you balance that? And we saw, in your emerging innings from you, maybe you can take us through where you are with your cricket and how important it is for you to go forward, as you are learning from Sean, Raza, and the responsibility to take so big forward. So in people like you.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because it's obviously, it is a personal question, but ultimately when I walk onto the field, the way I go about my cricket is I just want to make sure that I'm putting Zimbabwe in the best position possible to win games. Whether that means that I have to be a little bit measured and I have to kind of bite my ego and not look for boundaries. That might be what's preferable on the day. And then the other times we have to come out and I have to score from ball one and I have to try and score boundaries. So I think that's also not just applicable to me and the situation that I'm in and the age and all that the other senior players are at. I think that's kind of the role that a lot of middle order players have to play. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure and stuff like that. But that's something that I relish and I really enjoy. Let's see what the future holds.
Okay, David,
So someone had a difficult first match, this 2 months, and came back today, brought 2 overs and only went to 3.5. What do you think was the thing that turned him around today, and what do you have to say about his ability to come back and be focused?
It's a good question. I kind of disagree a little bit. I don't think he had a bad game last game. I just think he had 1 bad over. It was actually 5-6 bad balls. Because, before that he was going at 7s, which, the way Sri Lanka were going, that was pretty good. He was actually, after those 3 overs, he was probably our best seamer, bar Richie's, 3 overs. But the first ball he bowled on that, it was the 18th over, I think. He bowled a perfect wide Yorker, and Mendes has played the most outrageous reverse wrap, and unfortunately, kind of, things then didn't go to plan. But he also took an outstanding catch that could have changed the game as well, that third man. So I don't think he had a bad game. He was still having a good game, just 5 balls didn't quite go as planned. And fair play to Mendes as well. He also played well. He had a cracker of an innings. But we all kind of spoke about it and kept giving him that belief in the backing. We know how good he is. He knows how good he is. And he showed us today as well. So I'm very happy for him. I'm sure it means a lot to him as well.
Okay, so we kind of got a glimpse from our last press with Sean Williams on how the dressing has somewhat shifted to what we see now. Because for the past 6 months, it hasn't been well in the field. But then Sean came in and was like, we're now being positive and we're attacking head on and we're telling people what they need to hear.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what has changed in and outside the field that is probably maybe contributing to what we're seeing now, to the results, to the positivity, even though we don't win, we've been very close. So what is it that has changed?
I think probably the shift, to be honest, from Test cricket to T20 cricket, it helps a lot. And in fairness, the guys have played some really good Test cricketing teams, and it's always kind of subjective. You know, how do you measure success even though you're losing? Is it by how big you lose or how little you lose, kind of thing? It's always kind of a subjective answer. But in saying that, I don't think the change room has kind of changed too much. I still think guys have been upbeat, but there has been a big push, like Sean said, in the last kind of month or so. And I think it's probably because the qualifiers are coming out. Just the kind of reminder that, you know, there is something that's bigger than us and bigger at hand that's coming up. And maybe just that little reminder, I think kind of maybe it's lit a little bit of a fire in guys to kind of, you know, get going. And yeah, and hopefully that's kind of followed through into the performances that we're playing and showing.
Thank you.